It came from outer space to fill the world with terror.
What earthly power can stop this terror?
That's the signpost up ahead. Your next stop.
The bloodbath thing from outer space.
And what's up, guys? It's a podcast from outer space. It's your boy, Rob Scott. We got Adam Narlock in the house tonight.
Hey, guys. Thanks for listening.
And as always, it's Ryan Scott.
Hello, hello, far and wide, evening or night, wherever you may be.
And, you know, it wouldn't be the podcast from outer space without a nice, delicious glass of Pamp coffee. And, you know, they're right here from San Diego. Check them out, etsy.com/shop/Pamp coffee. That's PAMP, motherfuckers. Pamp coffee is the best coffee out right now. Go get you some while it's hot. And, you know, unofficially, we're going to be drinking Proper 12 whiskey all night.
Oh, yes, lassie. We've got Conor McGregor in the studio. I may have gotten choked out. You know, Putin's still calling the shots, but the Proper 12 is still flowing, lassies.
So, you know, we're sipping that. Hopefully we can get a sponsorship from them eventually. And, you know, one more shout out. Me and Adam have recently started up, Teabag, if you will, have recently started up a new podcast, a sports podcast.
A hockey podcast.
A hockey podcast. It's called The Five Hole. So, you know, dropping that tomorrow. So go check that shit out.
Tomorrow.
Yep.
Okay. All right, tomorrow. Check them out. The 5 Hole. iTunes. What do we got? SoundCloud?
We're going to try and get on iTunes. I feel like that might be a little bit hard at first, but
Okay.
we're going to be dropping on SoundCloud for now, and then we'll see where it goes from there. And, you know, tonight, episode 35, the part 3, if you will, of the X-Files.
The Triple X Files.
Triple X-Files.
Yes. So this is, everybody, the conclusion of our 3-part series. We have finally reached the bottom of the X-Files pool.
Started from the top and now we're here.
Yes. Now in our last
No,
two...
it can't get lower.
Now, in our last 2 episodes, we took a look at the life and times of the creator of the show, Chris Carter, looked at some of his influence, followed by an in-depth look at some top episodes, some real-life X-Files. And in this episode, we are getting into both feature films, 98 and 2008, respectively, and the 2016 revival of the show, and pretty much anything that we may have left out.
So if we're at the bottom now, were we at the climax last time?
Yeah, I mean, I would think so. You know, we were really discussing the OG nostalgia show. This one will be more about, you know, kind of the novelty things, if you will, the movies, the revival, which a lot of people didn't like. And, you know, as I've discovered from researching this entire series, it's basically just all conspiracy theories. It's all conspiracies, and basically just take any conspiracy ever and slap aliens on it, and boom, you got the X-Files.
It's kind of like our podcast.
Yeah. And we got to cite the sources on this one. So again, John Muir, his fantastic book, X-Files FAQ. Check this out if you're a true X-Files fan. Great read. TVtropes.com for a article we'll discuss a little later. Also an article from Life magazine, and allthingsinteresting.com, and numerous idiots on internet message boards.
They'll let anybody post there.
Yeah. So let's get into it. Let's start with the first film. So in 1998, we get The X-Files. This was the first feature film written by Carter and Frank Spotnitz and directed by Rob Bowman. Now, this guy only directed 4 films, including this one, most notably probably Reign of Fire. You guys seen that?
I have not.
Never heard of it.
It's like, picture this, Christian Bale and who's this stoner dude, surfer dude, True Detective? Matthew McConaughey. both bodied the fuck up, swole to the gills, fighting dragons that have taken over the earth. Check it out.
I'm going to go watch that immediately after this.
Now, So the X-Files film, this had a budget of $66 million, raked in $189.2 million worldwide. So, you could say it was doing pretty well.
I mean, this was in what, 98?
Yep,
About
98.
5 seasons into the show. Is
This
that
guy
about
just
right?
said
Yep,
98.
that's
Come
right.
on.
You're unbelievable.
This man just said it.
Yeah, did you have
And I'm honestly asking.
Maybe take the stunner shades off.
hey,
See what's
maybe
going
he had
on.
a spiel. What, he's leading into a spiel, right?
Nope. He already said
Okay.
98. I was just clarifying it was about halfway through the series, right?
Halfway, yeah, I guess. Like a little more.
And then they dropped a movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now,
Forgot where I was going. Thanks a lot.
yeah, so this film would also come to be known as Fight the Future, which right there sounds like a Rage Against the Machine song.
Oh, yeah.
This was, yes, as T-Bag just said, set between seasons 5 and 6. Now, right there, I'm thinking that's pretty fucking daunting task for Carter. Not only is he doing the show, he's writing, directing, kind of overseeing the show, but figures, fuck it, I'll write and produce an entire movie too that fits with the story narrative of the show between seasons and acts as a standalone film for, like, if you haven't followed the show, people go see it in theaters.
That's kind of your first exposure to the series is through the movie?
Well, I had seen the show before, but
No, I'm saying in general. Like,
if you had never seen the show, you can still go see the movie and enjoy it.
It took The Simpsons like 20 seasons to do that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little, like, you kind of wouldn't be as familiar with, like, the cigarette smoking man if you just saw the movie and not the show. But I mean, it's not like you would be completely lost. I mean, you got to tip your hat off to him. Right?
Yeah.
Also, I really was looking for, like, other shows that did this. Can you guys think of any other shows that have had a movie drop, like, in between seasons while the show is on its initial run?
Jackass?
Sex in the City?
No, I looked up both of those. I looked up both of those because Sex in the City actually did come to mind. Nope, it was after the series,
Yeah, I know,
and
that's
Jackass was the year after the series.
Oh, wow.
I actually looked at an entire list of shows that subsequently had movies. I think the only ones to do this were maybe like Batman, but I mean, there's so
Transformers?
many different versions of
Yeah.
Batman.
Did you look into the numbers that they were doing in season 5? Maybe the numbers took a dip and they were like, hey, let's fucking drop a movie on these fools, get them back into the show.
Yeah, but still, I mean, that's like not a lot of shows would even do that. So Batman
Well, young Carter
kind of
might
did
do
it. Beavis and Butthead Do America, that dropped in between the shows.
Really?
But that's not like their shows were just shitting on like music videos.
Yeah,
It
I'm
wasn't like you had
surprised.
to follow a narrative.
Yeah.
Also, I think the only notable one would be Trailer Park Boys.
I was thinking that one.
because they had, I think it was one of their movies dropped like in between seasons.
Yeah.
Now, what are your guys? I mean, you guys have both seen the film, got memories of the film. When was the first time you guys saw the film? Anything that comes to mind when you think about the film?
About this film specifically?
Yeah, did you go see it?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Oh, well, I just thought it was interesting, and maybe I'd get to this later in the outline, so you might have to edit this. X, what number is that in Roman numerals?
10.
10. What year was this movie released?
98.
When did the second movie come out?
2008.
10 years later.
And
I'm just saying. X, 10.
you know what else they say, or what they never ever say.
What's that?
10.
X marks the spot.
X gonna give it to you.
I mean, you guys don't remember this film at all as kids?
No.
I went and saw it in theaters, bud.
As a
You
kid
did?
in
You were there.
98, how old were you?
How old were
10?
you?
Yeah, 10.
You saw it in
Weird.
theaters.
10. I was
See,
10.
it's a fucking conspiracy.
Okay, now
I
what?
remember going to Regal Cinemas to see it.
Strawbridge.
Okay, okay, and
I'm pretty sure you and Dad were there.
no, I was not.
That's horse shit.
No, you know why? Because
You weren't 10.
well, probably that, and I have a specific memory which plays into you of this movie.
You want
What's
to know
that?
what's even weirder? It's 10 o'clock on the dot right now.
Whoa.
Okay, you told me, Rob, that you get to see Scully naked in it, just like you told Teabag on the last episode.
You asshole.
And so, of course, I'm, how old am I at this point? 7? I'm a 7-year-old. The only way...
I think you were a little bit older when I told you this.
98. If you saw it in theaters in 98...
I didn't come home and immediately tell you that.
I think you did, buddy.
I feel like that is the first thing
I think I told you
say.
that when it was like coming to movies, man.
Okay, so all right, let's say I was 8.
Okay.
1 year, because it takes a
it's
year.
a little bit better.
It takes a year, so I'm 8. Obviously, the only way I have access to boobs is your floppy disk.
Yeah.
So I had to sneak into your room when you weren't there.
At 8 years old.
And so you tell me this. Of course, I'm like, I have to see this movie. I'm playing at
You're probably just praying.
I know. I was playing at my. This is years before I learned how to pray. I'm playing at my buddy. I think it was Andrew Firestone. You remember him?
Yeah, I do.
I was playing at his house, and he was like, "Hey, we can watch whatever we want." Had the X-Files, and I was like, "Fucking put that shit on, brother! I gotta see a glimpse of Scully's Warlocks." And,
oh yes,
we watched the show, and I remember, like, specifically, I don't think I was allowed to watch rated R movies at the time.
I would hope not at 8.
Well, my mom, like, she said, "Oh, what'd you do today?" And I told her, "Hey, we watched the X-Files." I was obsessed. My dad got me and him both FBI windbreakers, and I would run around pretend like I was Mulder, debunking cases and stuff.
Trying to catch a glimpse of those warlocks.
Yeah. And, anyways, I tell my mom, and I remember specifically, like, this is seared into my memory. My mom, like, sat me down and explained to me that the X-Files was just fake and a movie because she thought I was going to have nightmares. But honestly, the movie wasn't that scary. And I was pissed because you do not get to see Scully naked.
Although we almost did see her in that episode that we viewed this evening.
Now, Rob, why would you tell me that, knowing damn well that it doesn't happen?
Just fucking with you, dude. Classic joke. Classic brother joke.
Real friend right there.
You're unbelievable.
Hey, man. You gotta do what you gotta do to get a joke.
Okay, so this film brought on, and now I actually meant to talk about this a little bit on our last episode, but what this film did was bring on new characters that sort of broke the X-Files mold of casting quote-unquote virtually unknowns. Now, think about this like the Star Wars approach, right? Like when Chris was making the show, the reason he cast Duchovny and Anderson was because he was like, okay, these guys aren't really like known actors, so he wanted it to be like believable, you know, based on true events. So, hey, we got to cast these unknowns just like Star Wars does, because you see a major actor get a role and you automatically associate him with like something else. Like, wasn't it weird when you saw Sam Jackson in the Star Wars movies?
Not really.
Okay, would you think it would be weird if Adam Sandler was cast as Mulder?
Yes.
Probably so.
Especially
Right?
in the mid-90s, yeah.
Because you would just associate him with like Billy Madison and the other stuff that was coming out at the time. But this film did take on a few well-known actors and threw them in there as, they didn't really have prominent roles in the movie. And another thing I was reading about...
Was Samuel L. Jackson in it?
No, he was not. Similar to Star Wars, they actually would change the name of their production company to throw people off. They had a whole production company listed as Project Blackwoods, just like Star Wars did with Blue Harvest, you know?
Yep.
Now, in the film, Mulder and Scully, they're investigating the bombing. Starts off, they're investigating the bombing of a federal building in Dallas, Texas.
Bad things happening in Dallas. We talked about this earlier.
I mean, what else happened in Dallas, guys?
JFK got murked. People have enough money to get laser butt hair removal.
Okay.
You're dropping that one again.
It's my go-to joke of the week.
Now, so they're investigating this bombing, which housed a FEMA office and which contained evidence of a global conspiracy that needed to be destroyed. Thus the plot rolls on from there with possible enslavement of the human race, aliens repopulating the earth, A diabolical plan using the pollination of corn by bees.
Bees, they're everywhere.
Oh my God.
Get them off.
Bees. Now, I'm still confused about that. Maybe one of you can explain to me. What did the bee, like, so the bees pollinate the corn with the alien virus and what? Humans are eating the corn? Or what?
Search me.
We might need to turn to the insider Nicolas Cage for this question.
Okay.
The guy knows a lot about bees.
Not the bees. We also see the infamous black oil, black helicopters all over the place, the whole nine. This movie had it all. And it was really a form of expanding the myth arc of the show that we talked about in our last episode. Now, furthermore, this film continued Carter's MO of his narratives having some basis in reality. Now, probably the biggest influence for this one, which serves the foundation for the entire film story arc, is the Oklahoma City bombing at the Alfred P. Murrah building on April 19th, 1995. You guys remember this?
Oh, yeah.
Now, honestly, I'm thinking Chris Carter's got to have balls to do that. I mean, this was only 3 years had passed since this event, and in the film, it's basically like identical to the Murrah building bombing, right?
I mean, that's like if someone had gone and made like a 9/11 movie in 2004. Like
that's what I'm saying. Look at like they fucking ripped on the Ninja Turtles for just having a picture of a building exploding, and being associated with. That was in 2014. This guy's doing this 3 years later.
Too soon.
Crazy for that one, Carter.
Now, for a full breakdown on Oklahoma City, check out the documentary Oklahoma City streaming on Netflix. This is a great documentary that really gets into the whole history of the incident. But, for those that might not know, in short, this guy, Tim McVeigh, he was basically radicalized by several far-right militia groups. He was angry about the government's actions at Ruby Ridge and Waco in regards to the Second Amendment, which the FBI board, they cite in the film X-Files, Ruby Ridge and Waco. I think what Chris Carter was going for here was like a reimagining of the event. But anyway, anywho, the Murrah building housed offices of the FBI, DEA, Secret Service, and ATF. Which is what McVeigh was going after. Although since this fucking idiot did it in the early morning, most of the people in the building worked for Social Security Administration and Department of Housing. And they were kids
from what we saw in the documentary.
And they were fucking janitors, and he parked the truck right under the daycare. Now, this event is a national tragedy, to say the least.
Oh, yeah, and then think about this follow-up. First they have the bombing, and then, Oklahoma City gets the Sonics. Just tragedy after tragedy, dude.
Okay, well, we're not going to equate the two. I mean, until 2001, this was the deadliest terrorist attack on American soil and remained the deadliest act of domestic terrorism in the United States. Over 600.
Aren't any of these wars happening on U.S. soil?
Over 600 were injured. 168 were killed, including 3 pregnant women and 19 children.
Jesus Christ.
Now, like all national tragedies, what happens, guys? Surrounded by conspiracy theories. Yeah, you're getting good at that. Now, there is a
Only watch the pilot.
There's a ton of theories on the Oklahoma City bombing. These either reject all of or part of the official government report. So that's you, Adam. You're the official narrative guy, right?
Let's go for it.
Okay. Now, some of the theories that reject this are the possibility of additional co-conspirators that were never indicted, most notably John Doe 2.
That guy sounds pretty fishy.
Oh, yeah. This is probably one of the strangest. We'll get into it.
They call him JD.
Basically suggesting that McVeigh had a partner.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, there's another theory that suggests additional explosives were planted inside the Murrah Federal Building. Another one that government employees and officials, including the president at the time, Bill Clinton, knew of the impending bombing and intentionally failed to act.
He was a little busy blowing up himself, if you know what I mean.
Okay, come on. Also,
He's
there
getting blown out every day, dude.
This guy knows what I'm talking about.
there's even the claim that the bombing was carried out by the government in order to frame the militia movement or to provide the motive for new anti-terrorism legislation. Now, that's like basically standard run-of-the-mill false flag type conspiracy, right? And there are further conspiracy theories suggesting that foreign agents, particularly Islamic terrorists, the Japanese government, or German neo-Nazis were involved in the bombing. Since the bombing, numerous government investigations have been opened at various times to look into these theories, which I would say gives them a little bit of credit, right?
I mean, these guys wouldn't be looking into this if it was nothing, you know?
Exactly. Now, let's get into some of these theories.
Sure, let's break it down.
So as far as John Doe 2 goes, several witnesses reported seeing a second person with McVeigh around the time of the bombing. This guy became known as John Doe 2. The FBI went on to arrest this guy, Michael Brescia, a member of the Aryan Republican Army. This was basically, think of Point Break, but with Nazis instead of surfers. These guys would go they were responsible for 22 Midwest bank robberies.
Yikes.
So this guy resembled a sketch of John Doe 2 based on the eyewitness accounts. But he was later released, and investigations say he was not involved with the bombing. John Doe 2 has never been found or identified to this day. And there's 22 eyewitnesses that say they saw this guy with McVeigh while he was driving the truck around.
22 eyewitnesses, 22 bank robberies. I don't know.
Right there. Follow the numbers.
I don't know about you.
Now, there's also the possible connection to Elohim City. This was essentially a private community in Oklahoma associated with a lot of these white nationalist, right-wing extremist groups. Basically, there was this guy, Andres Strassmeyer. He was the security chief and spoke about destroying a federal building and had visited the Murrah building with McVeigh. McVeigh even telephoned Elohim City 2 weeks before the bombing, and an employee at the Murrah building who survived the bombing said in the days before the bombing she had seen several unfamiliar persons in maintenance and military uniforms who she believes may have been involved. However, these observations were largely ignored by authorities. So this is essentially the FBI could have indicted bigger groups, you know? There was a deeper power play here that was kind of using McVeigh to carry out the bombing, but they were like, hey, if we try to go after these fucking bigger guys, we might not get anyone, you know? So they kind of intentionally ruled these guys out. Now, on September 28, 2009, they released security tapes obtained from the FBI through the Freedom of Information Act that showed the building before and after the bomb went off from 4 security cameras. The tapes are blank at points before 9:02 a.m., which was the time of detonation. The government's explanation for the missing footage is that the tape was being replaced at the time.
Convenient.
4 cameras in 4 different locations going blank at the same time on that specific morning. Coincidence?
Might be.
Now, this is, how do security camera systems even work? Is it one tape hooked up to all the cameras, and if you take it out, they all go blank?
Depends on the system, but sometimes it is set up like that.
Back in the 90s, you thinking?
Probably so, yeah. It's the easiest way to do it.
Okay. Now, some say the cameras in the front were cut off to save the government money.
Convenient.
Yeah.
So they're just there. They're just not really running.
Yeah, I guess. That's the government for you, right?
I feel like a lot of places do that, dude. You ever been into a Walmart? How many cameras do you think in there actually work?
Who knows, man?
Here's a tip. Just the ones by the registers and electronic.
Now,
Tim, what do you know this first? I worked at that place. I didn't even know that much.
Do you know how the cameras work?
No.
You worked at Walmart?
Were you
Yeah.
security?
No.
You know who told me that?
What did you do?
Roman.
Oh, really?
Oh, this is the guy that got caught shoplifting from Navy Federal Exchange.
That's a different place, buddy.
Government.
Okay. All right. So
That's a government conspiracy.
All right, so also this guy, Terry Nichols, he was also indicted as an accomplice in the bombing, but he traveled through the Philippines extensively. At the same time, this known terrorist, Ramzi Youssef, who was also involved in the 93 World Trade Center bombing and was planning the Bojinka plot in Manila.
What the fuck is that?
It was this plot to kill the Pope, blow up these planes. Like, it was this whole fucking crazy terrorist thing. They caught him before he carried it out, though.
The other thriller in Manila.
Yeah, but this guy was basically in the Philippines the same time Terry Nichols was there.
And it's called the Bazinga plot?
Bojinka. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Wow.
Now, the bomb used in the 93 World Trade Center bombing was also placed inside a rented Ryder van, same company McVeigh used. Some say this is a possible link to Al Qaeda, but I feel like that's kind of people that don't want to admit, hey, an American guy was radicalized
Right.
and did this thing. They're still trying to push the blame on like Muslims, Al Qaeda, some type of foreign terrorist group.
Well, here's a theory. How is any of this related to someone else? If they got away with it, why wouldn't they keep blowing shit up and doing shit to government buildings or government agents?
Well, that was like their big hurrah.
Well, I'm saying, like, there's way worse shit you could be doing than blowing up some fucking building in Texas.
Oh, yeah, they're probably planning that right
Oklahoma,
now.
Sorry. Right now? That's how many years ago?
95.
And they're going to wait fucking 30 years to blow something else up?
I mean, I guess. Well, because think about it. Like this bombing, they got the one guy. They didn't get the bigger fish, but they realized they're going to be more heavily monitored now after this comes out.
Yeah, and then dick has happened since then.
You don't think that there's any domestic terrorist cells operating right now in the U.S.?
I'm not saying there's not, but I'm saying they're not doing anything.
Dick has happened since then. What about all these shootings, dude?
Yeah, dude.
Stay woke, brother.
There's a lot of shit going on that's happened since then, man.
Not on that big of a scale.
Exactly. They got a ton of heat on them. They got to lay low. It's like Casino, dude. It's like the Brat Patrol, like Carter was writing about, you're bringing heat on the whole Aryan nation. They got to lay low.
Whatever, dude. I just think that guy was fucking nuts and decided to blow something up.
So
Can you say anything now? No, he's dead.
So the FBI has been criticized for not explaining how Nichols, who did not have a steady job, paid for multiple trips to the Philippines and had 20 grand in cash when he was arrested. Also for rushing to rule out the existence of John Doe number 2, and for not thoroughly investigating possible connections between McVeigh and the Aryan Republican Army, or even larger domestic terrorist organizations. Even the deputy assistant director of the FBI at the time of the attacks has since voiced his concerns and called for a reopening of the investigation in 2007. And in 2014, John R. Schindler, a former NSA intelligence officer,
Made a list.
claims that 2 issues are notable. 1, McVeigh and Nichols' visits to the Philippines, and 2, the activities of Andres Strassmeyer, a German national and friend of McVeigh's. So, possible fuckery going on there? What do we think? Rob thinks it was just one guy radicalized. I mean, McVeigh even says as much in some of his last interviews.
I'm saying he could have had help, but I don't think that it's like a bigger movement than just him and some other guy.
Just a bunch of rednecks with a lot of free time on.
But so you think it was McVeigh as the sole mastermind, like it wasn't a bigger group pushing for this that's going to still be doing more shit?
I mean, maybe he was influenced by a group, but I don't think that it's like some terrorist plot to blow up the federal building in Oklahoma City.
What do you mean? It was literally a terrorist plot to blow up the building.
I'm saying like as in like Al Qaeda or all that.
Oh yeah,
bullshit
yeah.
You just said.
So you're saying
think that?
No one jumped up and took credit for it like that.
Yeah, I'm saying I don't think that it was like some big fucking scheme from a terrorist organization. I think that Timothy McVeigh was just fed up with all that shit that he said, and then who knows? Maybe he had someone help him, maybe he didn't. But I don't think that it gets bigger than him just being crazy as fuck.
And what about John Doe 2? Never caught, never identified.
Yeah, he ain't a rat, dude.
Just got off scot-free. So that guy's still out there.
Maybe that's where the 20 cash came from, you know?
The 20 cash?
He said that guy got caught with 20 in cash.
Now, yeah, I mean, if you think this guy was just this random terrorist was giving Terry Nichols 20 grand in cash, why would he do that?
I don't know.
Well, that's great detective work there.
What's your fucking thought on it, genius?
I mean, I'm going to say I go by the book on this one for the most part. There is some stuff in there for sure that raises questions like John Doe 2 and the Philippine stuff. They probably could have gone after these bigger organizations, but at the time, in the wake of Ruby Ridge and Waco, they were like, hey, let's just fucking get this guy, get it over with. That way we look good. We're the fucking heroes, right?
Maybe. Who knows?
Okay. All right. Well, let's get back to the X-Files film.
Adam's not worried about it because Crime called in sick today, so it's going to get a late start too.
Now, as we said earlier, the film was essentially a myth arc expansion with the true meaning being focused on teamwork and the ultimate search for the truth. Basically, the film used the opening Ice Age times as saying, hey, this idea of our search for the truth goes way back. Way back. Shout out Keeg the Snake. It's human nature. It's always been a joint effort. No man is an island. I mean, everybody needs a team, especially when solving mysteries, Scully and Mulder.
Scooby and Shag.
The Hardy Boys.
Ghostbusters. Possible upcoming episode.
Starsky and Hutch.
Michael Jordan, the Dream Team.
Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Always spying.
This podcast,
Right.
You got me. I'm the research guy. I'm the technical guy.
You're the do-it-all guy.
You got this guy.
Making tea.
This guy.
I don't know what he brings.
Everybody contributes
When's
something.
the last time you made us tea, asshole?
You got bags?
Yeah, I do.
Well, I'll make you some.
I'll
Let
show
me see
you
your
my
clipper.
bags.
Now, the response to this film overall met with positive reviews. What did you guys think? Good film? Yay, nay? Thumbs up, thumbs down. What are you giving it?
I'm
2
sure.
thumbs way up.
Okay.
2 thumbs way up.
Yeah.
Wow.
Teabag?
I've been seeing this guy giving out 2 thumbs like it's his job or something.
Well, if you disagree, you can catch a case of Ligma.
No.
All right, Teabag, what are
I'll
you
give
giving
you
it?
2 thumbs up for that joke, little man.
What are you giving the film?
I'm going to give the shrugging guy emoji.
Okay.
It's probably good. The 90s were a good time.
So you're not convinced.
The truth is out there.
Okay. Now, so mostly positive reviews. Even our boy Ebert said it was mostly good. He says
Mostly good.
Well, so hear me out. He says he didn't really enjoy the similarities of the bombing in the film with the real life events in OKC. Says they, because they show a shot of the bombed out building that's like basically the same, and he says
Right.
the film could have done without that.
No, I agree. I mean, I saw that. What was that one? Like United 91 or Flight 91?
Oh,
whatever
yeah,
that movie
93.
was. And that was just, yeah. I didn't want to watch that movie.
Okay. But this one, this X-Files one, is often seen as immensely better than the follow-up film, which we will hop on over to now. So in 2008, we got the X-Files I Want to Believe. Now, this is 6 years after the show ended with season 9. So this is a complete standalone film. And whereas the first one was an expansion of the myth arc, this one is more or less seen as a monster of the week episode as a movie, you know? This one was written and directed by Carter himself. It remains his only directing credit on a feature film. Budget of $30 million, only pulled in a little over $68 million. So really underperformed at the box office.
I mean, it's years after the show ended. I'm sure people are falling out of the loop.
But
Jesus.
to be fair, it was going up against Chris Nolan's The Dark Knight. Now, come on, guys. I mean, in my opinion, the second X-Files film doesn't really hold a candle to The Dark Knight.
That's fair.
I will 100% agree with you.
Okay, I mean, The Dark Knight is one of those films that you see in theaters and you're like, this is going to be great.
You said, damn.
Right?
You're crazy for that one, Nolan.
Now,
2008, isn't that like the same year like Iron Man came out and stuff?
yep, that's what. Oh, we're getting right to that now. In the book that I was reading, Muir kind of explained how he saw this as the rise of a new age in entertainment. Whereas, you know, we had moved on from the government mistrust, the conspiracy stuff, over to the big superhero, summer blockbuster type films, you know? Like you were saying, Iron Man. That was 2008 or 2009?
I'm pretty sure it was
right?
8,
Yeah, because 10 years today, or this year.
Now, I say we go ahead and write the spoof, spin-off, X-Files, I Want to Buy Weed. Fuck you guys.
Well, what do you got for us? What's the story arc there?
Yeah. Are we finally going to get to see those warlocks? Because I'll buy into that movie.
Is this Rob's big writing debut? What do we got so far?
I don't know. I've seen this guy write an outline.
Unbelievable.
All right, guys. Now, a lot of critics had issues with the whole Russian mad scientist playing Frankenstein plot, saying, come on, please, like, it's bull crap. We're going to believe that?
Yeah, but now look, everyone's buying into the hype.
Well, at the same time, Batman. People are like, fuck yeah, give me more fucking Batman, more Iron Man. And they're discrediting this. This is what, like, Carter says is kind of like, hey, come on, guys.
Yep.
But yet again, Carter used some real-life events to influence this film. And those were none other than Russian doctor Vladimir Demikhov.
Well, now who is this?
Who is this?
Who is this Dr. VD?
Okay, so this crazy Ruski bastard was a Soviet scientist and organ transplant pioneer who created two-headed dogs in the 1950s.
No.
I mean, you think stuff was weird on the last episode? Check this out. Now,
Mike Vick I might want to give him a call.
Oh.
now not to
Fuck.
now not to discredit this guy as a psycho right off the bat. Let's list out some of his achievements. They include world's first artificial heart, world's first heart transplant into the chest, world's first heart and lung transplant, world's first lung transplant.
Now, how are you going to go heart, lung, and then back to lung?
I mean, I don't know.
Science and shit. My fault.
Yeah. World's first liver transplant, first orthotopic heart transplant, world's first mammary coronary anastomosis. Now, guys, it's no secret, I'm not a doctor. And world's first head transplant.
That's not what you told your girlfriend.
Now,
Hi-oh.
first ever, guys, listener discretion advised. Just ahead, for all you dog people out there, be advised this shit is actually kind of crazy and really fucking kind of gross me out. So listen at your own discretion. If not, maybe fast forward about 5 minutes. So this guy, Demikhov, and his team performed this surgery 23 times. This is the two-headed dog surgery, with varying degrees of success. The 24th time in 1959 was the most successful attempt, but it was not the most successful attempt, but it was the most publicized. and one of the most remembered. So this procedure consisted of one large stray German shepherd named Brodiaga, which is Russian for tramp.
At the very least, you learned something today.
Now, Brodiaga would be the host dog, and a smaller dog named Shavka would supply the secondary head and neck. Now, with Shavka's lower body amputated below the front legs, keeping the heart and lungs connected until the last minute before the transplant, a corresponding incision was made in Brodiaga's neck where Shavka's upper body would attach, and the rest was vascular reconstruction. In total, the operation took 3.5 hours, and the two-headed dog regained consciousness, and both heads could hear, see, smell, and swallow.
Ugh.
Now, Shavka's transplanted head could drink, but it was not connected to Brodiaga's stomach. So anything she drank flowed through an external tube and onto the floor.
Yikes.
Now, in the end, this two-headed dog lived only 4 days due to a vein in the neck being damaged. Demikhov's longest two-headed dog survived 29 days. Now...
So not very successful at all.
Well, I mean, not very successful, but this is also highly controversial because unlike some of his other advancements in the field of like transplants, this had like no real life applications. He's just cutting up dogs and sewing their heads together just to see if he could do it, I'm guessing.
Ugh.
Any thoughts on that? You actually, this will be our Just Google. It's pretty sick. And really fucked up, I think. But if you want to be disturbed, go check out some of the pictures.
If you want to be disturbed.
Yeah, that's our Just Google It for the week. Vladimir Demikhov's two-headed dogs. Go check that out. They got the pictures on Google. Now.
That's going to be a no for me,
Yeah,
dog.
it's going to be a hard pass.
As of July 2018, Sergio Canavero, an Italian neurosurgeon, believes that head transplants will be a reality in the near future.
Ugh.
And let's call this guy Sergio Canavero.
Okay. This guy is closely involved with the first human attempt, which is slated to occur in China. So,
Someone's already done it, let's be honest.
oh, dude. Think about how much shit the government's probably done in this field. Now, anyhow, back to the film, you know.
Yeah, I took a little brief detour there. to
Yeah,
talk about
little brief
two-headed
I mean,
dogs.
we had to get into the real life basis, you know, that's important. But while the first one seemed to carry the theme of teamwork, I want to believe is the second film I want to believe is more or less focused on redemption. You got Scully being a doctor fighting to save a terminally ill boy to redeem herself from giving away her son. You got Mulder attempting to save the missing FBI agent in order to redeem himself for his sister's abduction. And you've got this kid diddler preacher. And this guy's trying to redeem himself in the eyes of God. I mean, this is actually an important part in the movie, which we'll get to here. I'll ask you guys some questions. Now, going off of that, the film is asking, like, what right can redo a wrong? As far as the kid diddler goes, it's like, hey, we aren't saying you should forgive him, but obviously he's a piece of shit who committed one of the worst crimes of all. But
It ain't hard to fucking tell.
if you can't forgive him, then can you even claim to believe in redemption? I mean,
I
what
say
do
yes.
you guys think? Like, this guy is having visions. He's trying to help Mulder and Scully out, but he's a kid diddler. So, I mean, can his visions, like, can he be redeemed for his acts? Yes or no?
No.
So you are saying no. So then is the very
I think it's circumstantial.
redemption?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, there's some things you just can't come back from.
Now, how about you, D-Bag? What are we
Diddling
saying?
kids is one of those things.
I mean, if Mr. Rogers, you think he would come back from that? Bill Cosby, that guy's not coming back.
Oh, no.
That guy's gonna die in jail.
Rob, no way. Like, some things just can't be forgiven.
Well, he said it's circumstantial.
Okay. But he is saying, in fact, that some things can't be forgiven, so it's not a blanket term.
Well, some people believe that everything can be forgiven.
Exactly. That's what the movie's getting at.
Really makes you think.
Yeah. Because, in the movie, like, Scully has to question her own faith because of this whole moral quandary with the preacher. Now, disclaimer, we're not saying this guy, like, we're not saying, hey, kid diddling should be forgiven. We are just posing the moral quandaries of the film.
Our job is to make you guys think.
I think I speak for all of us when I say that. Am I right?
We are all anti-kid diddling.
Now,
I do not diddle kids.
Go ahead and do almost anything else you want.
Okay, now...
Almost.
So this film received mostly negative reviews.
You're talking about a couple years after what? Season 9? That was the end?
Yeah.
Quote unquote, the end?
Yeah, one guy said it's pretty much a PG-13 7. And our boy, Roger Ebert, gave a, I believe, 3-star review, 3.5 out of 4 stars, saying, quote unquote, it involved actual questions of morality, just as The Dark Knight does. It's not simply about good and evil, but about choices.
Yup.
Now, speaking of choices,
Yup.
let's get into the choice to revive the series. So the X-Files season 10 in 2016 and season 11 in 2018. Now, initial thoughts on bringing the show back. What are we thinking? You were just saying, been off the air almost 15 years and seeing the underperformance of the second film. So what are we thinking about bringing the show back?
I think they're trying to cash in. Tell me I'm wrong in that like the 90s isn't
Making
like
a revival right
yeah.
now.
Oh, because it's like nostalgia?
Yeah.
Okay, that's actually I have not actually looked at it that way.
Like our generation, if you will, if that's the right term.
Yeah, like, hey, Arnold's getting a movie. What's next? X-Files?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Our generation, quote unquote, is like
Stepping up.
Like now we have jobs and money, theoretically.
Okay.
So now we can blow it on the stuff that we used to love.
Okay, so
you guys had X-Files in
It's
your
an
life.
age thing. It's now a generational. We're usurping the former people.
Sure.
But it's still Chris Carter doing it.
Right.
Okay, that's interesting. See, that's what you're bringing to the table. I didn't think of that.
Huh?
I think they're trying to get redemption for that god-awful thing that they did with season 10 in 2016.
What? Well, I'm talking about even that too.
They're trying to go out on a good note. It's like Peyton Manning, he wanted to end it with a Super Bowl. He had like a kind of a lackluster career, and then he was like, hey, I got this neck surgery. I'm coming back, coming going out on top.
Lackluster career?
He had to go out on
until
top.
you said that.
Okay, all right.
X-Files was good through season 9, according to the critics. And we all know most critics are cynical assholes.
And then he took a dip, and then he came out on top.
Okay, so then what do you think? So if you're saying season 11 is his last hurrah, what about season in 2016 coming back? Like, what did you think when you first heard, hey, X-Files is getting a revamp?
I thought it was dope, but then I watched one episode, and I was like,
so you watched it. You got bought in because you were like, this is my childhood.
Yeah,
this is
and
the
I
90s.
watched Peyton Manning play the Seahawks in the Super Bowl, and it's the most god-awful thing I've ever seen in my life.
Now, did he not come back and win one against the Panthers the next year?
That's what I'm saying,
was 11 better
dude. That's
than
what
10?
I'm saying.
All right.
That's
Well,
my
don't
point.
say it was a lackluster career, though. That man did some good things in Indianapolis.
And just like you can't say X-Files.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's why I was relating it.
All right.
His time in Indianapolis was phenomenal. Then he came back, and you were like, what the fuck is he doing? Then he surprises you, boom, wins a Super Bowl, and then that rides off into the sunset. I think that's exactly what X-Files is trying to do. They had a good thing going with the series. They tried to make a comeback, and it wasn't that great. And now they're like, went back to the drawing boards, and they're like, what do we need to do to make this great again? Make X-Files great again.
That should be a hat.
Maxa.
Yeah. Now, okay, pretty good analogy there for Peyton Manning's career. Now, anyways, despite the criticisms, what have you, they brought it back. Maybe they figured, hell, Dark Knight really was to blame. Or perhaps it just needed the medium of a TV show. We got to get back to our roots, you know? So they brought it back, and man, oh man, people lost their shit. Some claimed, like you were saying, Adam, it was the whole, I guess more or less what you were saying. A lot of people were saying it was the whole timing of the 90s era, which really contributed to the show's popularity. So by now, people were basically over it. It's just a different time. Think about it. The 90s was really weird.
What a time to be alive.
Weird time to grow up. Am I right, guys?
Great time.
I thought it was great.
Now, I also found some stuff. I will post these for this week's post on the Instagram. They did a lot of fucking weird 90s X-Files shoots. And these photo shoots just prove how exactly weird the 90s was. But, even the hardcore fans seem to dislike the revival. And again, I think this is a little bit of the Star Wars factor, so to speak. You've got these diehard fans. They've built up this huge thing in their mind. And then 10 years later or so, it's just not the same. And it's just, you can't recapture that lightning in a bottle. Am I right?
You're absolutely right.
Now, I got to say, I didn't hate it. I didn't hate the 2016 series, or the 2018 series. I just, I thought of them as more of a novelty. I thought of them as, they if you watch the episodes, like the one we were watching earlier today, like it's not taking itself too seriously. There are some episodes that I thought were great. Most notably, season 11, episode 4, The Lost Art of Forehead Sweat. Probably the best of the newer seasons, in my opinion. Check that one out if you're so inclined. Now, I also saw a few articles claiming that the show was always bad, and people just never realized it. But I actually searched around quite a bit to find criticisms from people on the original run, and I really couldn't find much. So I think it was kind of like, and tell me, what you guys feel on this. I think it was kind of like you were either into it or you just didn't care.
You didn't really have a spot in the mid-90s. Internet's just starting to kick off.
Well, yeah, a lot of people also contribute that to the show because there was numerous fan sites for this show. And they were saying, like, those fan sites kind of pushed, like, what's going to happen next, Kind of like Reddit nowadays, right?
Kind of. I feel like I guess you're right, because I wasn't super into it when it first came out, but...
We're also very young.
Going back to it, I think it's cool just for the nostalgia fact. And, yeah, some of the stuff's kind of cheesy, but that's the 90s for you.
Yeah, that's what I think this guy was saying. He was like saying basically everything was cheesy in the 90s. The show was cheesy. The show sucked.
Well, I wouldn't say that much.
Well, that's what this guy was saying. But I did find a lot of people saying like they lost interest by like season 5, I feel like.
I can agree with that, definitely. I feel like that's kind of where it started to fall off, like looking back on it.
Yeah, I feel like people like this, people who lost interest in the OG series and people hating the revival mainly has to do with what TV Tropes has dubbed the Chris Carter effect. Now, any guesses as to what this is?
Maybe he just got too in detail into the conspiracy theory. Too deep down the rabbit hole, people stopped following.
Okay, that's kind of it. It's basically, to sum it up, it's all clues, no solution. It's like when the plot becomes so big, so entangled that there really can never be a clear resolution. So this, along with arc fatigue, are the factors we see in the X-Files. You've got 11 seasons and 2 movies, arguably one at play, and each ending is just pushing the myth arc further and further. Conspiracy continues, Mm-hmm. It can only go so far, right?
I would agree.
Carter even said when they started the show, they didn't have some overall myth arc plan, so they just built and built and built as the show went on. With the show, for a lot of people, they tuned out by season 5 due to lack of resolutions. The plot grows thicker in all directions. And, you did have like loyal fans that kind of stuck around because, hey, the more confusing and tangled the plot, the bigger the payoff, right?
I agree.
Well, actually, no. That's the Chris Carter effect. The powerful play goes on, the conspiracy continues, and hey, Mulder, nobody really gives a fuck about your life's work. The masses are past it's like the masses are past the point of saving. The X-Files, like, you're never going to expose the truth. It's going to keep getting covered up, keep getting suppressed by the government. You know, and that's why I feel like so many conspiracy theories are able to thrive, because it's like, hey, how many times are guys like, well, in the whole 2012 thing, oh, the world's going to end in 2012. 2012 hits. Oh, well, actually, the calendar was off by a few years.
You're unbelievable.
The conspiracy continues.
Oh my God.
It's never going to be resolved. Government cover-up, lies and deception.
They don't want us to bring you the information.
Fucking black helicopter.
Mm-hmm.
Cryptocurrency. They're turning the frogs gay.
Well, it loses a certain je ne sais quoi if you just uncover all the little secrets. It's like, what's the point if you're just gonna, at the end of the day, he's gonna uncover all the mysteries, turn all the stones over? There's no more excitement.
Catch the early flight home from San Diego.
Well, yeah, that's the last hurrah. That's the coup de grace, if you will. We got to tune in to see him finally expose the truth. When's it gonna happen? When's it gonna happen? But turns out, never gonna happen. That's exactly the Chris Carter effect.
You got to keep everyone guessing, keep everyone on their toes.
I mean, you can only do that for so long. And I feel like 11 seasons and 2 movies.
That's why the only TV shows that last past 10 seasons are ones that are just fucking around, like The Simpsons, Family Guy.
Always Sunny.
Yeah, it's just nothing
to
serious.
Uncover. No Chris Carter effect at play.
How I Met Your Mother. We all know how that ended.
So overall, the X-Files has supplied us with countless hours of entertainment over the years, and is an overall massive success, I'd say. You've got 4 or 5 runs of comics, hundreds of issues, action figures released by McFarlane for the 98 film. These were actually badass. I actually always wanted one of the Scully ones because I thought maybe you could take her clothes off.
Not a Barbie.
They even had a limited Fluke Man collector series released in 2000.
I'm surprised you don't have that one.
I actually lost a bid on eBay.
Oh, if you're out there, if you're listening, help us out.
And Mattel even released a Mulder and Scully Barbie and Ken series.
We'll see. There you go.
Now, there's been 3 video games released. Teabag? Never
heard of them. Okay. I'm going to have to go back.
If you can't see Scully naked, what's the point?
I know. That's basically
Let's be honest.
That's the MO.
Yeah, that's the MO. Now, Mad Magazine and an episode of The Simpsons have spoofed the series.
Yes. I've been wanting to bring that one up for a bit.
Oh, anything to add on it?
No, just that they spoofed it.
Oh, okay. And as we always discuss, the measure of true success, of true cultural impact,
how you know you've made it,
is, of course, a pornographic film. And have either of you guys seen the Sex Files or the XXX Files?
It's the Triple X Files.
Okay,
oh,
the Triple X Files. Yeah,
I've never seen either one.
Crack research over there.
Now, I will say I watched both of these in preparation for this. There's actually numerous Triple X Files.
Oh, I bet.
And now I need to go wash my hands because I've been sitting by this guy all night.
Now these are like I didn't. This was for research. This was for research.
Purely scientific.
Yes, this was straight up research.
Straight up.
Yes. Now I watched both of them. There's a bunch of the Triple X Files is more like just 3-minute clips on browsers. Like how they'll do the one-off spoofs that are like 7 minutes long. The Sex Files is actually a full movie. And I watched the
Wow.
This one, I gotta admit, they really did a bang up job here. The plot line,
no pun intended.
Does it thicken?
The plot line does thicken, and it's fucking absolutely cringeworthy. And it's so cringeworthy that the scenes of the actual fornication, for being scientific here, is unbearable. Like, it's just weird. You feel weird watching it. To sum this one all up, the coup de grace,
if you will,
the ending questions. I know you guys have been asking these questions. Chris Carter, David Duchovny, Mulder himself, Dana Scully. Do they believe in aliens?
The truth is out there.
Do they believe? So, David Duchovny, in an interview, said he absolutely does not believe in aliens. However, Gillian Anderson wouldn't rule it out, she says. You know?
I'd like to explore some alien things with her.
Some alien things.
Some foreign things, some mysterious things.
Some probing.
Some
Yes.
things you can't explain.
Yes, the truth is out there.
And the man responsible for it all, Chris Carter,
Young Kata.
says at the time that the X-Files were devised, he stumbled across a startling research from a Harvard scientist called John E. Mack.
Johnny Mac.
Johnny Mack.
Johnny McEnroe.
This revealed that 3% of the U.S. population actually believed in alien abduction.
That sounds like a low number.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
Well, this was back in the 90s. So, like you were saying, kind of before the internet age.
All right.
And the population has grown exponentially since then. But he says that, quote unquote, I want to believe poster states it so perfectly for me. I am looking for a paranormal experience. I am looking for a miracle. I am waiting for the supernatural. I am waiting to be confronted with something that I can't explain. So there you have it, folks. 3-part series on the X-Files. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I know a lot of you were requesting it. If there's anything in here that we missed, drop us a line. Let us know. And other than that,
Feel free to hit us up on podcastfromouterspace@gmail.com. Hit us up with any questions, concerns, comments that you may have, or slide in those DMs, Podcast from Outer Space on the gram.
and be sure to 5-star review and subscribe on iTunes.
Thanks for tuning in for this week's episode, and so long, and thanks for all the fish.